Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining today's Power BI user group session. My name is Shivakumar and I'm excited to walk you through an important evolution in Power BI development using Power BI project files and Tabular Editor to improve the way you build, manage, and scale your reports and datasets. Whether you're a Power BI developer, analyst, manager, or someone who's curious about how to streamline BI workflows, today's session has something valuable for you. We will explore how to go beyond the traditional .pbix files and start working with the modular, version controlled, and automated Power BI. Let's take a look at today's agenda. Here's what we will be covering today. We will discuss what .pbip files are, how they are structured, and why they are a major improvement over .pbix for development workflows. And then I will introduce Tabular Editor, an external tool that allows you to edit Power BI data models more efficiently and programmatically. We will walk you through a quick demo to show how you can make model updates, format measures, and organize your model using Tabular Editor with the .pbip project files. And finally, we will wrap up with an Q&A session and key takeaways for every type of user from beginners to technical leads. Let's get started with traditional Power BI development. Let's take a moment to reflect on how most Power BI developers have traditionally worked using .pbix files. A .pbix file is essentially a single binary file that bundles together your data model, report visuals, transformations, and metadata. It's convenient to use, but has some critical limitations, especially when working in a team or in a governed environment. One key challenge is version control, since .pbix files are binary. Tools like Git can't show what changed between versions. And you can't even review a measure that has been changed, or you cannot even easily revert any changes without replacing the whole file. And another challenge is collaboration. Multiple developers can't work on the same .pbix file at once without overwriting each other's changes. And that's very limiting in a team environments. You basically have to share your files over an email or Teams, and that has to like happen multiple times if you're working on the same Power BI project. And because everything is bundled inside a single file, it's hard to enforce any standards, development standards, or apply any automation process across multiple reports or datasets. And these limitations are what led Microsoft to introduce Power BI project files, which we will explore next. It's a game changer if you're working on a collaborative and scalable development projects. Now let's talk about a modern, more scalable approach, which is Power BI project files, also known as .pbip. Microsoft introduced the .pbip format to address the limitations of .pbix. It breaks apart your Power BI solution into multiple files and folders, which are easier to manage. You can version it and automate it. Instead of having one big binary file, the .pbip file structures the dataset and the report into separate folders. Each is stored in its own subfolder, and the dataset is saved using a new format called as TMDL, which stands for Tabular Model Definition Language. It is a readable text format that represents all your model metadata, including measures, columns, relationships, hierarchies, etc. Similarly, your report visuals are sorted in JSON-based files. This makes it easy, possible to track changes or collaborate via Git, and even you can review your differences in pull request, just like any other software project. With the .pbip, Power BI development becomes more modular and Git friendly, opening the door for continuous integration, continuous development pipelines. If you are into DevOps, you can have automated quality checks and a true team-based development. This brings Power BI in line with modern engineering practices, and when paired with tools like Tabular Editor, it really unlocks the power of automation and governance in BI. Let's now break down what a .pbip project actually looks like behind the scenes. Uh, Let me just share another screen. So if you have worked with Power BI, you might have known the .pbix files, which is basically when you create any report on Power BI desktop, and when you save it, it basically stores it as a .pbix files. So this is what I have here now. And now let me just show how to create a .pbip file. I'm just opening my Power BI desktop. I'm opening the Power BI file. So here I have a very basic Power BI file with very limited visuals and tables. And Power BI has this option to save it as a .pbip, which might not be enabled automatically. So to enable it, you have to click on File and then go to Options and Settings. Click on Options, and then you will get an Options window. And then you have this Review Features. And here you have this checkbox in front of Power BI project.pbip save option. And there are two other options below that, that is store semantic model using TMDL format and store reports using enhanced metadata format. So in order to save your PBIX file as a PBIP, you have to enable these two. You can enable this one as well. For now, I have enabled the option and I have already saved a file. I will just quickly show how you can save it. So I'm just creating a new folder for the copy version. And then here you have the option now to select as .pbip, and you can keep the same name or you can just do it and click on save. And you can see here on top of the window, now it shows Power BI project. That means the file which I have opened now is a .pbip format file. And when you save a Power BI file as a project, Power BI project or .pbip, it creates a folder-based structure instead of a single .pbix file. This structure is made up of individual files for your data set and report, making it modular and transparent. Let me just show you how the Power BI restructures and stores it as .pbip. So I created this demo folder. Let me open it. Now you can see we have a separate folder for report, a separate folder for semantic model, and there is this .pbip file, which is basically the executable file where you can open the PBIP file in your Power BI desktop. And the report folder contains the report layout, visuals, and interactions in a structured JSON format. Let me just show you how the JSON format is structured. So here I have my demo file. I have opened this in a Visual Studio Code to easily navigate between the folders. I have to show you the report.json, which will be stored, basically the visual related details. So you can see here, there is this theme, which is like basically a collection of all the font details, coloring details, the border details, all of it. And then here you can see the sections, which has a display name called as page one. And here are the visuals. These are basically the charts which were created. You can actually see the backend code of how the visual has been structured in your .json file. You can see the height, width, X, Y, all these positions, and you can also see if there is any name given to it. So this is how your visuals are structured now. And now if we go to semantic model, that contains the model definition in TMDL format. And there will be subfolders inside it for like tables, measures, relationships. And it's a huge improvement because it's more human readable and you can open and edit it in any text editor. You can use search option, you can apply version control, and you can even script changes programmatically either using Python or some external tools like Tabular Editor. And I'll just quickly show you a TMDL file for one of the tables. So for example, customer.tmdl is one of the tables in the model. And you can see the table name here and it creates a unique ID. And all the columns which are present in the customer table will be stored in this structure where it has like what is the data type, what is the format string, is there any summarization property like this. And it will also have the M query of your customer data. So you can see if you have taken it from any XLSX file, that will be stored here as well. And if you have applied any transformation steps on the backend, that will also be here. So this level of granularity is what enables you to manage your model like a proper software project with source control, collaboration, and automation built in. And this is what allows tools like Tabular Editor to interact with the model files and make changes efficiently, which we'll see in action shortly. Now that we have seen how .pbip breaks the Power BI file into like more editable parts, let's talk about one of the powerful tool to interact with those parts, which is Tabular Editor. Tabular Editor is a lightweight and highly efficient external tool built specifically for editing tabular models, which includes Power BI datasets or semantic models. And there are two versions available. Uh, Tabular Editor 2 is a free and open source version. You can download it from the link, like from Tabular Editor, and it is free to use. And there is this Tabular Editor 3, which is a commercial product with a more polished UI and some advanced features and full scripting support. This is a paid version. With Tabular Editor, you can directly connect your Power BI dataset or open the model files from your .pbip project. It gives you access to everything in your semantic model. It can be measures, columns, tables, folders, perspectives, and even more. Now that we have covered what Tabular Editor is, let's look at some of the benefits it brings to Power BI development. First is it enables editing of your semantic model, which is a programmatic editing of your semantic model. Instead of manually updating each measure or formatting one field at a time in Power BI Desktop, you can use Tabular Editor to make bulk changes instantly. For example, you can update all measure formats to percentages or move hundreds of columns into organized folders with just a few lines of C# script. And secondly, it supports metadata updates at scale. This is especially useful in large data sets. You can add descriptions to your columns, you can annotate fields or standardized naming conventions across hundreds of columns. and all in one go. Third is Tabular Editor allows for automation. You can automate tedious and repetitive tasks like adding prefixes to measure names or generating calculation groups or applying consistent formatting. This will be incredibly helpful for maintaining quality and consistency in large scale BI development. Fourth, it helps align Power BI development with modern software engineering practices. You can check in your model changes to Git, run best practice validation scripts, and even integrate with CI/CD pipelines. What does this mean? This means fewer manual errors, better collaboration, and a more scalable development process. Ultimately, Tabular Editor makes your Power BI development faster, cleaner, and more maintainable, whether you're working in a team or also. Let's now have some live demo sessions. First, I will walk you through some of the PBIP use cases. Uh, let's say, suppose I have a PBIP file where I have to change the data source for multiple tables. One way to do it is, let me just show you this screen. Okay. So let's suppose you have a Power BI file where the data source has been moved from one source to another. And in a typical traditional PBIX development, you would go to transform data and then change the file uh, path for each of the tables manually, right? So suppose if you have stored it in a .pbip file, uh, it would be a lot easier. I will just show you in Visual Editor how that can be done. I have this scenario one file which has the data source um, for each of the tables, and I want to replace it with another folder here. And let me just copy the original file path. So I'm searching for the original file path here, which is basically the PBIP and Adventure Work Sales. And now I'm moving to a different folder here, which is scenario one data. And as you can see here, you get to see where all the original, the file path you are searching for is present in here in your file. This is showing for all the folders. I have like 3 to 4 PBIP files in here, which are connected to the same data source. And if I was supposed to do it with PBIX, I have to open each file, say like replace the existing path with a new path for each table. With the PBIP, it just becomes, you just have to search it, enter the replace text, and you have to just click on replace all. And it will just replace across all your different Power BI files. And then you just have to click on save. So that's how easier it is to make bulk changes. And suppose if you have a table which is used across multiple reports, and instead of again adding the same data source, adding the same data transformations manually, it becomes very easier with the .pbip files. You can just copy paste the TMDL file from one Power BI project file to another, and your table gets populated in the another file. I'm just showing you another demo. Let me share my screen. So in here, let me delete these two uh, tables. Let's suppose these two tables are not present in a file which you are working, and one of your teammates has developed the same table which he's using in a different Power BI file. So now we don't have the sales order and sales territory table in it. What you do is you reach out to that person, you get the .tmdl file, and you should be good to go. You add it in here, and you should be good to go with the tables getting added. Let me just show you how you can do it. So in here, in the semantic model, if I go to the tables folder, you're not seeing the sales orders and the sales territory table here. And I will just quickly copy it from one of these files. I need sales order and sales territory. I'll just copy it and paste it in the tables folder here. So now that I have added it here, I'll just open the .pbip file here. It got deleted. So I've added it again. I will just open the .pbip. So you can see here the two tables getting added, and you might have to create the relationships which are required. So this saves a lot of time in again adding the data source manually, adding the transformations in transform query. So all of this time gets saved if one of the persons has worked on the same table, or if suppose if you have multiple Power BI files where you're using one single table, and every time when you make a change, you have to update that change to multiple files. For example, if you have 5 files with the same tables, you have to go and make the changes for each file. Instead of that, you can make changes to the one file, copy paste the TMDL, and replace it in your next in the other files. So that's how you can uh, develop more efficiently, which will be cleaner. You will have the same development standards across all your Power BI files. And now I will show you how we can use Tabular Editor. So you can install Tabular Editor, and it will appear in external tools at the top of your Power BI window. And this is the Tabular Editor 2, which is basically the free and open source version. And this is Tabular Editor 3, which is the paid version. Right now, I will showcase how you can use Tabular Editor 3. Uh, the steps might be similar, but it might be different in Tabular Editor too. You might have certain options, features, you might not have certain features. So I'll just quickly show Tabular Editor 3. And this is how the tabular editor window looks like. And let's suppose you have a development standard of keeping all the implicit measures or all the columns aggregation to none. Then you can easily do, suppose if there are multiple files, multiple tables where you have to do that. And you have to do it for all the tables. You have to, in Power BI, if you are doing it, you have to click on each column and there will be an option to summarize by. I'll just show how it is done in traditional way. If I were to summarize all of this, wherever we see this summation symbol, the summarization is set to either count, sum, or something. And if all of this has to be kept as don't summarize, we have to click on each column like this and then click on summarize, don't summarize. And if you have to, for example, if you have like hundreds of columns which has this summation set to sum or count, it will take a lot of time. And that's where Tabular Editor helps in uh, making this process faster. This is a C# script. You can get it generated from ChatGPT or Gemini if you uh, are not aware of how the C# script works. And this is a very small line of code. Basically, it is setting the summarize by function to none. And I will just simply hit run the script here. And then I will save the changes back to the currently connected database. So whenever you open Tabular Editor from Power BI, it will automatically connect to that semantic model. And if we go back to Power BI now, you can see all of the submissions have been now set to none. Previously, we were seeing some sum values here. Now we are not seeing any sum values here. And you can also do this for measures as well. Right now I have done for columns. You can click on all measures and you can apply it for measures as well. And let's suppose you have to, you have some currency columns and some currency measures in your model. And there is a certain format string you have to apply, which is like a standard set. And the traditional way is to again open each measure, set the format string in your custom format string, and do it that way. But with Tabular Editor, you can just have like 2 to 3 lines of C# script code, and basically you have to select the measures where you have to apply this because uh, you cannot apply the currency formatting for all your measures. So I have some measures here. Let's take all these 10 measures. I'll just click shift and select all of this. Before that, let me just show you what is the format for these measures. So it will be clear once I make the change. So as you can see here, the formatting is set to general for all of these currency measures now. And now I will just go back to Tabular Editor and then run this line of code and then save changes back to the model. And then if you go back to Power BI, you should see all the currency formatting now changed to the format string which we specified in the C# script. That's easier, right? Like if you have to do it for all the manual files, let's say we have five measures here in each folder. And if these are spread across different tables, it becomes difficult. You might miss a few measures which has to be set. And you might, while copy pasting, you might get some typing errors or something, and it might not be efficient, cleaner, and faster. So that's how Tabular Editor can help you. Similar way, you can set the percentage format, date format. I'll just show you the. It looks similar to what we have in the currency formatting, and that also works in the same way. Let's suppose you are supposed to uh, add column descriptions to your models. Uh, the traditional way to do is you have to click on the columns and then type in your description here with Tabular Editor and a CSV file where you can store your uh, column descriptions like this. Suppose there is a view definition from where you have your column descriptions added and you are fetching the data from that view. You can copy the column descriptions from there, store it as a CSV file, and then go to Tabular Editor. And this is a long script which basically adds all the descriptions. Uh, if you're just new to C Sharp, this might feel a little overwhelming, but with the help of like ChatGPT or Gemini, you can generate these scripts, and it is much easier also. For now, I'll just show you the customer columns where we don't have any descriptions added. And if this customer column is present in, let's say, 5 Power BI files, you have to go manually add these descriptions, which is typing in or copy pasting. With it being stored in a one single CSV file, we just have to run this script and it will just show that I have given the customer table here. I'm editing the column descriptions for customer table. And in CSV file also, I'm looking for the customer table. And I have the file path here for where the comments are getting stored. So these are the things which you might have to change when you are doing it for a different table. And once you start doing it, it will show like this is the customer, this is the column, and this is the description which has been added. And we just have to click on OK. It's just basically a information which is getting displayed. And the script execution is completed. I will save changes back to my model. And now we are seeing all the column descriptions getting added. And this is how you can make your development faster, cleaner, and more efficient using Tabular Editor. And you can do it in another way where you can just do it for one customer table and copy the TMDL across multiple Power BI files which use the same table. And that's how we can use Tabular Editor and PBIP files. Let's now take a step back and summarize why all of this, the .pbip project files and tabular editor actually matters. We can see for different roles within your organization. For developers, you get faster model updates with less clicking around in Power BI Desktop. You can automate your workflows, manage your model like a code, and reuse scripts across projects. It will be a productivity boost and makes large models much easier to maintain. And for an analyst, this approach improves metadata quality, better column descriptions, cleaner field lists, and consistent formatting. It becomes easier to self-serve and trust the data set when things are labeled and organized consistently. And for managers, you can gain better auditability and governance with model versioning in Git. You can track who changed, what, when, and why. And this aligns BI work with IT governance standards and makes it easier to support compliance requirements. And for DevOps or data engineering teams, you can now apply CI/CD pipelines or practices to Power BI models as well, including automated validation, deployment pipelines, and change tracking. And Power BI becomes part of the broader enterprise data platform, not just a black box tool on the side. So whether you are hands-on with development or supporting Power BI from a process or a platform perspective, this modern approach enables better control, faster iteration, and enterprise-grade BI delivery. And that brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for your time and attention. We covered a lot today, starting with limitations of traditional .pbix files and then explored how PBIP and Tabular Editor can modernize and scale Power BI development. And these tools are not just for developers, they are part of like a larger shift towards more governed, auditable, and collaborative BI practices. Whether you are a solo developer or part of a BI team or managing Power BI as a platform, adopting .pbip and Tabular Editor is a step toward enterprise grade analytics. And that's all from my side. And now I would love to open the floor for any questions.